we're really looking forward to getting back on the court after a tough weekend up in the mountains. But I had a good practice yesterday, and it's great to be home. Stanford's going to be a tough game. Every player at every position skilled, so we're going to have to be on our P's and Q's defensively, and then we're going to have to keep them off the boards. They've got a pretty good-sized team. Their shooting guard is 6'6", so everybody else is 6'6" and above except for Randall. So with that, why don't we open it up for questions?
What are you looking to improve on most?
Well, consistency, number one. Playing well consistently for the whole game. That's what we're going to look for. I think our rebounding is getting better with Eric in there, although he only had one in the Utah game. I think having Eric in there makes everybody more aware about rebounding. So we've gotten a little bit better there. And then what I want to see us offensively do is get more assists. When we get assists, we do well offensively. We shoot a high percentage, and I think when we're trying to press and everybody's trying to do their own thing, and that's not maliciously, they're just trying to make things happen, we get a little bit stagnant.
How would you evaluate Eric's first two games?
They were sluggish. I mean, he hadn't played in a long time, so I thought the first game he did pretty good for a guy who hadn't played for a while, and then the second game I think he was tired, and his timing was off in both games. But it's nice to have him back so that he can get acclimated quickly, and this hopefully will help him for this weekend.
He seemed a little frustrated, maybe that he wasn't able to hop back on the bike, so to speak.
You're saying Eric felt frustrated? Oh, I'm sure he was. I think Eric thought because he was practicing he'd be able to just go right in there, and there is a level of crispness that comes with games that you can't get in practices, and so the staff and I kind of expected that. I think he's being a little bit hard on himself. Because he's been working out. He's been working hard, but it's just not the same as when you're playing.
Devon's drawn a lot of extra defensive attention the last couple of weeks. How much do you need or want from Eric on offense?
We need all of our guys who are capable of being prolific offensively to do their part. Eric has always been sort of a opportunistic offensive player. I think he's a little bit better shooter than he was the last year, the last time he played. I mean, so we're going to need him to take advantage of any kind of matchups he can get. But Devon he's got to, and he knows this, he's got to pick it up a little bit. I mean, he's drawing the extra attention, but he's also making some self-inflicted wounds. I mean, he's got some opportunities and, dribbles the ball off his foot or turns it over. We've got to shore those up, and we've got to get him moving around a little bit more. I think he ends up, when he gets double teamed, standing around a lot.
You guys made some defensive strides and then kind of struggled at Utah. What was kind of the issues in particular at Utah that you want to improve there?
Well, Utah shot the ball really well. They were playing very confidently, and they're not that bad. I mean, they were ahead. I watched that film of the Oregon game. They were ahead almost the whole game and ended up losing in overtime. So, I thought we were tired. I thought we expended a lot of energy at Colorado trying to win that game, and it showed in the entirety of our play, let alone the defensive end. But I just thought we were a little bit slow and sluggish on Saturday, with the short turnaround and everything.
Langston's going to be facing a couple of teams from Bay Area at home. Could you just talk a little bit about the strides he's made, kind of locking down his spot rotation?
Yes, it's been a long road for Langston. He was, I would say last year, his freshman year, he was probably ahead of all of the other guys in his class, and then as guys develop or not develop, he sort of lost his way a little bit, but he never stopped working. He came in and watched tape, watched film. He talked to the coaches. He got in extra shooting. He's just a really hard-working guy, and he's gotten himself more playing time based on defense, rebounding, helping us get extra shots, doing some of the little things that allow him to stay in the game long enough to show all the other things he can do, like passing and defense and making an open shot.
When he wasn't really playing a lot earlier in the year, what kind of conversations did you have with him?
We just had kind of the normal conversations you have with guys. They want to know what more can they do, what do I need to work on. With Langston, I told him just focus on everything but scoring, and once he stopped trying to focus on scoring, I think his game opened up.
With the way that Alice and Malcolm and Langston have kind of emerged recently, how tough has that made it for you in terms of the rotation? Because you want to give Jolly everybody a chance. They're playing some other kind of force. They're going to give them more time.
It's not that tough. It's easy to sort out who's going to help you win. It's just hard to do in the midst of a game because you've already started out. So this week we'll do a lot of evaluation, and there's going to be a lot of auditioning for the starting spot or the finishing spots. But certainly Malcolm and Hallis have made me feel comfortable about putting them in at any point in the game, and they've made their teammates feel comfortable that when they're out there with them, they have some dudes with them. So it's really now it's finding the right mix of guys to play at a certain time, and I don't think that's that hard to do.
What have you seen from Alice in particular as the season's gone on that's really kind of pushed you to play more?
It all comes down to confidence for a coach, and how you get your coach's confidence is you make very few mistakes when you get your opportunities. You're not really focused on you're more focused on the game plan than you are on your individual capabilities. And then when you see a guy like guys like Hallis and Malcolm in the gym all the time, those guys take full advantage of getting up extra shots, watching extra film. It makes a coach feel confident to put them in. And then when you do that and they produce, that's sort of the secret formula.
As far as his production, is it more than you thought he'd be doing at this point?
I'm sort of conservative when it comes down to trying to predict what guys are going to do. But when we saw him play in high school, we thought he could be doing what he's doing now. Didn't know when it was going to happen. Some guys it happens as soon as they walk through the door. Some guys it doesn't happen until their sophomore year. So we're just happy to see it sooner rather than later.
Is part of it right now kind of just figuring out, the pieces working, how they work together in the first unit and the second unit? Because right now the house is kind of that scoring punch off the bench. Do you maybe want to keep that?
No. I think we want to start out with the guys who can help us get out fast. We have enough scoring. You know what I mean? And to me, it doesn't matter when you get it. You just want to make sure you're optimizing it. And I think that that makes it sort of in the wheelhouse that, I'm thinking about possibly starting Hallis, and we'll see how that goes.
But you haven't made any decisions there yet?
I'm not yet. Not that I'm ready to not that I'm ready to say publicly so that Stanford can get ready for it.
Greg, you mentioned a couple times after guys not being prepared to play after 0-2 start conference. What are you doing to maybe get them to play with urgency?
So I probably said that in the heat of the moment, but when I looked at the film, I think our guys are playing hard and are competing at a level I want them to compete. We just have to shore up a couple of things. We made way too many turnovers this weekend, and I think if you cut down those turnovers, we're right in those games. Actually, you might win those games because we're right in those games at critical parts. I mean, Yeah, if I remember watching the Utah tape, it looked like it was 63-60 with 4 or 5 minutes left, and we ran out of gas, turned the ball over. They got a couple baskets, and then we started fouling. The Colorado game, you're right there at the end. I think my frustration level has been with the senior guy, the older guys, the more veteran guys who are, we rely upon all sort of non-conference season to be productive, and then, to have our bench be a little bit more productive than them in the conference play is a little bit disappointing. But I told them that, and they get it. And so I think what we need with the focus I want that I want them to really pay attention to this week is not turning the ball over, not giving teams extra opportunities. You look at the points off turnovers. I thought I've been using this term all weekend, is shot ourselves in the foot.
You guys have been giving up some pretty big second half runs in the past couple of weeks, and obviously the 15-0 one or 18-0 to Utah. So what do you attribute those to, and how do you eliminate it?
Like I said earlier, I think that is a little bit of fatigue, playing at altitude and playing on the short turnaround.
What specifically have kind of been the problems for you, maybe with Collier and Brandy and their offense?
I think that teams are focusing on them more because, number one, they remember how good Angus was when he was healthy, and number two, Devon's been scoring in the 20s, so you're going to attract a lot more of attention than you normally do. And then I think there might be just a little bit of pressure that they're putting on themselves to be good, and sometimes that might be a reason to underperform. So I'm trying to get those guys to just relax and do their thing and stop worrying about scoring, just play.
Last year, I think that was kind of maybe an issue that Collier struggled with, was facing double teams, and it seemed like he was starting to improve a little bit with that earlier this season. But is that something you guys are working on in practice?
So yeah, he's gonna receive double teams as long as we're not banging shots or making them pay for double teaming. So, I think that when Devon gets double teamed, he can't still try and score. He's got to try and find the guy whose guy's double teaming him. And if he does that, that'll alleviate some of the pressure. This year we have Angus when last year we didn't. So if Angus's guy ends up double teaming him, we've got a guy who can make an outside shot. So we've made a little bit of adjustment in practice there, but that's sort of a game by game. Not everybody doubles Devon in the post.
What's been your thoughts with the 1-3-1 and how effective that's been?
It's effective in spurts. I think I said this back when we first started using it. It's not a defense that you can make a living on for the entire game or an entire half. It's something that you can use sparingly for it to be effective. If we're using it too much, it's just not going to be as effective. But I like it. I think we're good at it with certain lineups in there, and it's a way of generating offense. I mean, unfortunately, in the Utah game, we got 3 opportunities at the very beginning of the game and couldn't cash in on one of them. And instead of us being up 2-0, it would have been 8-0 or 6-0, depending on how you look at it.
Have you seen Charlie struggle in the last couple of weeks, or is it just a matter of other guys playing better?
No, he's not been himself. He's struggling, and which is why Hallis is playing more, and Hallis isn't struggling. So I'm taking a hard look at that this week, and we'll make a decision on. If we decide to change, we'll make a decision when we make the decision.
Where do you see Charlie's struggles the most?
It's interesting because he's been playing well in practice. So it's just the games. It's just the games, and I don't know if it's the pressure of the games or if it's the guys he's playing against or what. But it's obvious he's struggling, and he's. We need to have a point guard who's not struggling at the beginning of the game. So,
He was so great
You know, I think with Charlie, it just comes down to overall confidence, you know, and consistency. It's what I was talking about initially. What we want to see us do better, in general, is just being consistent. You know, if you're at this level, be at this level. Don't be way down here and then up here, so that you're averaging this level. You know, what gives me confidence is knowing what I'm going to get every day. And lately with him, it's been tough. So, you know, maybe coming off the bench is a good thing for him, where he gets to see the game a little bit before he goes in there. I don't know, you know. I would say what you get from him from a positive standpoint is a junior guard who's run our offense for now 2.5 years, and you feel more comfortable with him getting us into our stuff until the freshmen are able to do it. And they're certainly showing that they can handle the pressure.
I noticed you've been having Moreland at the top of the 1-3-1. What's kind of the
So you wouldn't have known this, but he's always been at the top of the 1-3-1. Yeah, he's always been up there. He's been one of the reasons why it's so effective. I mean, you know, when we first got here, Seth Tarver was at the top, and then we got Eric, and then Eric was at the top. And, you know, when we didn't have Eric, we were trying everybody out. We tried Victor, we tried Jamal, we tried Langston. And I would say right now Eric is probably the best, and Langston's probably 1A.
Payton and Olaf are two guys we were really excited about going into the season. So what do you need to see from them for them to work their way?
You know, it's the same thing. It's like what I told Langston, you know, just the consistency in play. I mean, you know, Victor's had some really good games and really bad games, and if you don't know which one you're going to get, it's kind of hard to depend on them. Same thing with Olaf. I mean, you know, at this level and in conference, you've got to be able to, you really have to be able to make me feel confident that when I put you in the game, there's going to be some production. And we have enough guys who are being productive where, you know, if there's not somebody being productive, you can insert another guy.
Does Angus kind of fit in that group as well because he's played so well at home and not produced those same?
Oh yeah. You know, there are very few guys who have been playing consistently, and Angus is the same way. Angus has a little bit of an excuse because he's still coming off of his injury, and then he had that sort of re-injury while we were in Hawaii, so he's still getting his confidence back. But, you know, this isn't, you know, everything I'm telling you, I've talked to them about. They all know. It's not a big secret. We just have to play better, longer, and it gets harder once you get into the conference, especially on the road. Well, I tell you, that whole starting five is good, and they've been good for a long time. I mean, Dwight Powell is like Eric. He's a matchup nightmare. Chase and Randall is a, you know, restaurant quality guard. And then they've got the kid Brown back, who's a fantastic shooter. He's always shot the ball well here, you know, when he played here, when we've played against him. And then even Nostik is playing well. I mean, you know, that kid got cut from the Serbian team over the summer, and it's like he's taking it out on everybody he plays against. So, you know, that whole starting five is a tough group. And then they've got Gage, who's a good shooter, coming off the bench, 6'10". So, and they've been playing together for a long time. Yeah, you know, it started out where we seemed like we were beating them all the time, and now they've seemed like they've been beating us all the time. So I'm hoping we can turn the tide. And again, it's great to be able to have this game at home. I think we missed an opportunity last time in that overtime, in that quadruple overtime game. Was it quadruple? It felt like it was more than that, because we had some chances to win that game here at home and couldn't quite close it out. So. There've been some good matchups since I've been here. Not winning. I mean, that's the most important thing. Missing a putback and then missing a foul shot. It's just, I'm trying trying to put that behind me.
You see Vic play a bigger role later in the season?
You know, I saw him playing a bigger role, early when I was starting him, and I think that he just is. I don't think his play is any different. I think other guys have been playing better, and it makes it tougher when Eric comes back because that's sort of the small forward position. So, you know, I think Eric can do more. I mean, I think Vic can do more, and will. He's only a sophomore, and this is really his first sort of regular playing time. I think he's going to improve. You know, like I always say, everybody's development isn't the same. So, you know, some guys are going to develop, and then they're going to take a few steps back, and then other guys are going to rise up. And hopefully, before too long, we'll have a nice rotation of about 9 guys or 10 guys that I feel comfortable putting in and who are going to be productive when they get in there.
Are you hopefully give him some more playing time to kind of maybe try to get back to it?
I think the correct term is they have to earn that playing time. You know, it's you know, playing time's not something you dole out like donuts. You know, it's just I'm gonna put the guys in who I feel like give us the best chance of winning.
How's Daniel Gomez holding up? I know you kind of said you wanted to manage his minutes going into the season. When they get those 2 games, he kind of got thrust into a bigger role and more minutes.
He sure did, and you know we're kind of watching him because in the quick turnaround games he's usually still pretty sore. So when we play on a Wednesday and a Saturday, he can play as much as he can play both games. When we play Thursday night late and Saturday early, it's tough on him because he's, you know, hadn't had time to recover. But it's been great having him. He's a force on defense. You know, it gives us a whole completely different look at the 5. And now with Shea Injai starting to be able to get in there, it's going to, you know, having those 3 guys is going to give us a nice array of talent, of skill level at that position.